you. We are ready to begin.
Thanks so much, Brenda. I'd like to call the meeting of it's a special board meeting of the Bi-State Board of Commissioners to order on Monday, May 9th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. Could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Windmiller,
Present.
Commissioner Simmons,
Here.
Commissioner Postello, Commissioner Beach,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Cox, Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Galladay,
Here.
Commissioner Gladney, Commissioner Moore. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Great, thank you so much. The two items on today's consent agenda were recommended for approval by the Operations Committee at their March 18th, 2022 meeting on April 22nd, 2022. Unfortunately, at the last board meeting on April 22nd, 2022, the vote to approve these items couldn't be held because there was a lack of a quorum. So are there any adjustments to the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items A and B as presented and as outlined on the agenda. I need a motion and a roll call vote, please.
Second.
Thank you.
Chair, a voice vote is sufficient.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion carries. Next item is a security services agreement with Great Rivers Greenway, Resolution 1210, and I would ask Kevin Scott for comments.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
So we are here presenting a proposed agreement in front of the board requesting you allow the President and CEO to enter into an agreement with Great Rivers Greenway to share the cost for the provision of uniformed security specialists, those are bi-state employees, to patrol not only the river boats, which I will go over in just a moment, but to also expand those patrols to the Mississippi Greenway, which is the running and bike trail that runs from Choteau to Biddle Street. So as a little bit of background, I've divided this proposal into phases. In phase one does not require board approval, but the addition of the relationship with the Great Rivers Greenway would. So let me walk you through this. So I've been working with Mary Lamy and her team on the riverboats at the Gateway Arch on an enhanced security structure. And during this process, we have entered into an agreement where we are going to supply the riverboats embedded in a full-time fashion to security specialists. And this actually began on May 6th. The overall focus of this initiative is to have a security presence on the boats full-time when in operation. The way we're going to accomplish this is that we are not cutting services to our transit assets by any stretch of the imagination. But the riverboats, their cost center is paying the public safety cost center, and we are adding 2 additional positions, or we added 2 additional positions to accomplish this. We think that this is going to have a significant impact on our employees and our customers on the riverboats. And quite frankly, as the overall public safety component of bi-state development, we need to focus on other enterprise needs as well. And this gives us an opportunity to enter into this relationship and to make sure that we are providing all of our team members, all of our customers with the same level of security. Now, during the build out of phase one, and this is what will require board approval, during the build out of phase one, we were approached by Great Rivers Greenway and asked to provide an expanded security conceptual proposal, building off of what we are doing at the riverboats, which would offer a cost-sharing partnership, providing expanded security patrols on the Mississippi Greenway, so the bike and running trail along the riverfront, from Shoto to Biddle Street Trailwood. This would also include, as we leave our asset, our riverboats, and the levee area, the cobblestone area. So the levee street or wharf street, it would cover expanded patrols on the cobblestone levee itself and then down on the trail. Now, what is the focus with this? Our security specialists are not law enforcement. They are uniformed, licensed security officers. But I think the obligation here or the approach is we have a business asset on the riverfront. We're focused on enhancing security needs for the river boats, but we're also impacted by our surroundings to some extent in that area. So our focus is increased security measures at the river boats and the adjacent Mississippi Greenway to build a physical deterrence for criminal activity, which certainly has proliferated in this focus area that we're discussing, and to enhance overall visibility of uniform security and engagement in that area. So what we did is we took this concept and we provided a scope which expanded total security personnel. Remember, we already have 2 now assigned at the river boats. It would expand by an additional 2. One would be a security specialist, but one would be a security specialist supervisor or team leader for oversight. This would double the cost of this endeavor to $315,279.68, as mentioned in the brief, annually. Now, the Great Rivers Greenway is agreeing to reimburse Bi-State Development for half of the annual cost. So this agreement will increase the number of security specialists by 4. There will be 3 security specialists and 1 security specialist lead assigned to this detail. And again, this is not reducing any security assets on the transit system itself. These are added positions. So most importantly, I think, as the public safety component of Bi-State Development, our goal is to work collaboratively with all of our enterprises within Bi-State to provide security to our staff, our visitors, patrons, vendors, and our facilities, which we are doing. But this particular agreement allows or provides the opportunity for regional collaboration to impact security concerns that, again, ultimately affect our businesses. So in summation, the riverboat detail has already begun. That is agreement that Mary Lamy and I have worked on. They were in need of security elements on the riverboats. But this additional participation by the Greenway, the asking us to broaden our patrols along the cobblestone riverfront and along that trail would certainly need your approval. So for simplicity, we built the proposal as one proposal so that you could see the entire dynamic of what we are trying to accomplish here. And with that, Madam Chair, I will turn that back over to you for any questions or follow-up.
Thanks, Kevin. Are there questions for Kevin?
Yes, I have a few. Kevin, is there any reason why this didn't come in front of the security committee?
This has been a conversation that has been expedited. Again, we were originally focused on the riverboat partnership, and during that conversation, the Greenway portion of this agreement was accelerated, and so that's why we find ourselves here today. I don't know if Mary, if you want to comment on that as well.
Other than we've been working with GRG and working out the details, and we really didn't have the green light from them to move any further until we worked out the details that you see in front of you. And then obviously there's a process working with our board, but obviously we're walking into our busiest season, and we were trying to get this agreement expedited in hopes that we can get execution of the agreement and get the additional security specialists activated, as soon as possible.
The simplest answer, Commissioner Simmons, is that GRG wasn't committed to writing the check yet. Okay, now they are. And it didn't make sense for us to bring it to you until in security committee until they were willing to share that cost. We now have that commitment from them.
And so what is the cost that the bi-state going to be for this?
So the bi-state portion is $157,639.84. The total pack, so it would double with the Greenway participation. So the Greenway is asking us to expand, and they'll pay for the additional costs.
I thought I heard they're only going to reimburse us for half. Is that true?
Half, yeah, so half of the $279, half of that, 50%.
And we're picking up the other half.
Yes, because the other half is an internal agreement between our public safety department and the riverboats that we would do as a matter of security operations. And so the riverboats, their budget would pay the budget or the cost center of public safety. So the additional costs, what doubled, where we got to the $315,279 is when we added in the Greenway proposal.
So in essence, half of the total we're picking up because it involves the riverboat enterprises that we own. The other half that is attributable to the Gateway Trail security detail, they will reimburse us.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. I understand that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around why we would be providing security to a non-bi-state enterprise. I understand regional collaboration, but there's a trail system on the Illinois side as well, and St. Louis County and elsewhere. And this trail we're talking about goes all the way up to Chain of Rocks Bridge, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I just, I don't know, it just seems like we're stepping out of our scope a bit. That's just my gut feeling. That's all I have.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair,
Go ahead, Herb.
yeah, well, I have the issue of it. All of a sudden, it's a rush for whatever reason that they want to give. You know, we have a security committee for a reason, and again, this is I'm hearing of this right now. Every time we're expected to spend money over in Illinois for security, it costs the county transit district. The riverboat has always been a contention. The riverboats. And you know, that's another question I would have out there. So when you get ready to call for a vote on this, I will be voting no.
Thank you for those questions, Commissioners Simmons and Beach. I wanted to ask another one, which is in addition to the fact that I understand sometimes the need to fast track things and they don't necessarily go before a committee before they come to the full board. But in this case, this is a special meeting of the board. And we have only 3 commissioners from each side. So, you know, everyone would have to be completely comfortable with it. So that's just sort of an editorial comment. I will say that having dealt with this in another part of my life in terms of adding security to a private entity, I'm curious why GRG didn't just contract with another entity. There are many security firms available, and why they came to us, and whether or not there's some kind of a symbiotic relationship, or whether, with all due respect, we're giving it to them at a really good cost. So
Sure.
I just want to know a little bit more detail about that.
Sure. So it was some of these security expenses, well, they were contained within the prior year's budget, and it was a third-party contracting security team that was not as good as, now that Kevin has built out his team, we saw it as an opportunity to control and do a better job. And that's why We expanded through the first phase to have Kevin's team associated with also connection with the Laclede's Landing Station. There was a better symbiotic relationship, and we felt we had better control to move towards Kevin's corporate security team in phase one, rather than having the third party, essentially unaffiliated Rena Guard down on the riverfront. So the first phase was moving to the professionalization of the corporate security model that Kevin has established. The second phase
So,
was.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt there, Toby, but you're talking about for provision of security for the riverboats.
Yeah,
correct?
yes, Chair.
Okay,
Yes, Chair.
so that I understand.
Mhm.
I don't have any issue with that. I might have some issues with the fact that the riverboats continue to be a financial drain, but I know we're hoping to get past that. So I understand the internal revenue cost sharing on that. I'm asking about why it is that we would feel the need to provide security for GRG, whether or not we are giving them a better deal than they would get contracting with another private security firm. And if that's the case, then I don't necessarily have an objection to that because I support what they do. They're a good partner with us. I just want to know whether or not that's the situation.
So it is the situation. So then after on phase one, that trail, of course, goes also from Laclede's Landing to essentially to the boats on Lenore K. Sullivan. And Lenore K. Sullivan traditionally has been our exposure point from a security standpoint. And so I saw it specifically as an opportunity to get to share some of the costs and get some money, quite frankly, out of a partner whose asset, as in that trail specifically, is on the park's ground, and therefore a way for us really to share in those costs. Now, when GRG agreed, they just said, we just want you to go a little bit further to the north. And we just thought it was a good deal. So, and it was on me to try to, since we were having this special meeting anyway, I thought it might be an opportunity for us to gain that money quickly so that we could get it in operation this summer, and hoping that we could move our, of course, our patronage up on the riverboats. So that was on me. That was my decision. I apologize. I never want my commissioners to feel that I'm rushing anything through them. So, so yes, it is true that GRG could and has contracted with a third-party security to do this. We just thought where the security was overlapping, specifically on Lenore K. Sullivan, that it was an opportunity where they could enhance our existing contract, and it could be more professional than what had been experienced before. I hope that
Toby,
provided.
I was also going to mention, and I understand the comments that are being made today, but based on the conversations with GRG up until a couple of weeks ago, they really were never at a point where they were willing to execute some type of security effort. And then based on the ongoing conversations that Kevin and I had with GRG, and the fact that if they were willing to invest money in security, it would obviously help our efforts as far as trying to expand that security presence. And so that's where, through those conversations and knowing if you had this joint operation, you would have enhanced communication between those specialists. And so that really was the thought process as far as having that communication in place. And it just kind of evolved. Obviously we've been having, I think, discussions regarding security challenges along LKS for about 4 years. And it's been really difficult getting the partners at the table and being able to come up with a plan. And based on these current discussions, all of a sudden GRG had decided that they would be open-minded to partnering with our office. So that's really what led us to this point.
I appreciate that additional information. It appears though, with at least one of the Illinois commissioners voice in opposition to this, that we won't have the votes to get this through. So my question would be about whether or not it's imperative that we vote on the first portion of this motion, which is related to providing security for the riverboats. Is there anything that is expedient about that we need to do today, or do we need to table this entire issue until the next full board meeting?
Chairwoman Miller,
Mhm.
I'd like to see it tabled until it goes before our committee, the safety committee.
So Irma, do you mean both the riverboat piece and the GRG piece?
Yes,
Thank you. We haven't taken a motion yet, so I'm going to suggest that we table this issue until it goes before the Safety and Security Committee and then comes before the full board. And since there is no vote on that, I don't think we need to take a vote on that. I'm just going to, what is the protocol on that? I ask either Talby or Barb, do we need a vote to table that motion?
We do not, Chair. That's perfectly fine, and we'll make adjustments and flesh out our presentation a little better for presentation to the Security Committee as mentioned. There's been no motion, so we're sure we are fine, and we can move on the agenda if that's your pleasure.
Yeah, I apologize if that puts us in any kind of a bind, but I think it's more important that the full board be present to have these conversations.
Madam Chair, I'd like to just comment also that, in listening to Mary, if it took the so-called partners 2 weeks to determine if they wanted to expand our partnership, I don't know if that's a partnership that I liked anyway. I mean, if it's good for them, why would it wait to the last minute and then they want to rush to hurry and get it done? So I'm glad we're taking this action to get more information on it.
Thank you. And I do recognize the importance of having a unified security effort, particularly along the riverfront where different entities are involved. And I'm sure that everyone on the board feels the same, sense that that's a good thing to do. We just obviously need a little bit more information, and I want to make sure that it's financially the appropriate thing to do. Any other comments?
I ask a quick question. So on May 6th, we did assign 2 security specialists to the riverboat premises. Those funds are included with our budget. Are we able to continue with those, or is it both the phase 1 and phase 2 put on hold?
Well, that's why I was asking the question about whether or not there needed to be a vote on our own operational.
Kevin,
No,
do you-
Chair, it does not.
Yeah. So Kevin, based on the agreement that you already had, we had the ability to go ahead and execute and hire those 2 security specialists who started May 6th.
That's correct. That was an internal operational arrangement that was just focused specifically on the riverboats itself. And again, in accomplishing that, Madam Chair, we would not be pulling any assets from the transit system. The riverboats, they're paying for 2 additional positions. So based on what I'm hearing today, we would not expand any relationship with any other outside partners other than just the 2 transit or the 2 security specialists that are focused on riverboat operations. But that, in my belief, would not require board approval.
I would agree. Sounds like an internal executive decision. I did not know that there was not security on the boats to begin with. I think it's a great idea. And I think that the trail security is a separate issue to be addressed at the next committee meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Well, thanks, everyone. That's really all we had on the agenda today. So I would ask for, if there's no further business. And hearing none, a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved. Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for your time this morning, and we'll see everyone soon.